Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Mark, a trainer here at WEX Field Service Management, and today we're covering schedule and dispatch basics. This webinar will cover a schedule page overview, schedule settings, how to schedule an appointment, how to use the work queue, appointment status updates and visuals, callbacks and follow-ups, how to update, cancel, and reschedule appointments, and some calendar view options so you can set your preferences on how things look in your system. We'll do a live Q&A at the end where you can get your questions answered live on stream. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into WEX FSM. All right. So first, we're just going to start with a schedule page overview. When you first log into your system, it will bring you to the schedule page. By default, you will see your dispatch board on the right. This is the actual calendar. Appointments that you create will show up here on this board, and they will also be available on the mobile app for technicians out in the field. The work queue is for draft appointments, and they're not quite ready to be scheduled yet, and those are saved on the side here. When you're ready, you can click and drag, bring that on to the dispatch board, but we'll go over how to use the work queue in just a little bit. But you have your main two sections, and just all you need to know there is that when you schedule, these are your live appointments. They will send a confirmation to your customer that the appointment is officially scheduled, and your field technicians can continue the job out in the field after you've added them to the dispatch board. And then the work queue are appointments that are not quite ready yet. We do have a dispatch group feature, so you can, let's say, create a group for all of your users. And that way you'd be able to see what everyone is doing at a glance on one screen. But maybe you would like to separate your technicians from your office crew, or maybe you have a HVAC side of the business and a plumbing side of the business, and you can kind of separate those schedules by using dispatch groups. Now, let's take a look at some schedule settings. Before we actually dive into scheduling, we want to make sure that on the back end, we have all of our preferences set up, our users added, our dispatch groups, and we'll do that now. So the first thing we'll do is add our users. If you haven't done so already, you will go to Settings, User Management, Users. You will add your users from this page. Click Add User to add a new user. When you are adding them, you are able to assign them to a dispatch group as long as you have those set up. And when you hit save, they will save into the group that you assign them. Then when you go to your schedule page, you'll see them here. So that is one of the first things you need to make sure you're doing is adding your users so you can see them on the board here. Now we want to create our dispatch groups. That way we can organize our users into these groups. To do this, you'll go to Settings, User Management, Dispatch Groups. This is the main admin page where you will create your groups. You can click Add Dispatch Group in the top right. Name the group based on who you want to add to that group. Add your users by clicking in the box and hit Save. Once you do this, it will bring you back to the dispatch group page here, and you'll see all of your groups that you have created. If you want to edit who is in a group or even delete a group, you can click the three dots here and edit or delete. Now, once you have these set up, they will be available when you're adding your users. So any users you add in the future, you don't even have to come back to this page. You can just add them to a group as they go. And just as a pro tip, these will be in alphanumeric order, but if you want them in a specific order, you could just add a number to the beginning of the title, and then that will put it in the order that you want, which is what I have done here. And the last setting we want to look at is job types. So we will go to settings, jobs, job types. Now, job types are great for reporting. You can create what types of jobs you do, and then you can assign a color to them. And when you are adding a new job, you'll click New Job Type. You'll just name the job whatever you want that job type to be. Click in, you can update the color here to whatever you want. And you can also set the default duration of how long this type of job usually takes. And that will save you some time when you're scheduling, because every single time you create an appointment, it's going to ask you, what is the job type? You will select the job type. That will tag that job. And then in your reporting, you'll be able to pull up what type of job that is. But you'll also see the color. So when you're on the schedule page, these colors that you see here, red, is service, green, I think, is install, purple is maintenance. Those are the job types. So if you see a lot of purple on the board, there's a lot of maintenance calls happening, and just a good way to have some color recognition for job types. And then the default duration does come in handy when you create a job and you select that job type. If it's a, regular service call, maybe you set it to an hour, and it'll just auto-populate the time frame as an hour. But if you're doing a 3-system install, maybe that'll take 3 or 4 hours, and then you can update that to here. And then if you're scheduling an install, let's say, it will then auto-populate the default duration of that appointment. Okay, those are the 3 main settings. Make sure you add your users, set up your dispatch groups, and set your job types. Then all of those will come into play when you're actually scheduling. And that's exactly what we're going to do next: how to schedule an appointment. So from the schedule page, you can schedule an appointment in 2 main ways. The first way is by clicking New, which will just start a new appointment from scratch. Or you can click on the date, time, and technician, and it will auto-populate that information when you get into the schedule modal. And so, if I wanted to schedule something for myself at noon, I would just click on that. And now we're going into creating, which let's go ahead and do that. Now we're creating an appointment. We're going to choose customer appointment because we're making an appointment for our customer. And let's look for my customer, Justin Hernandez. If you're talking to the customer, they are in your system, you'll just type their name here and they'll show up. If they're not in your system, oh, you're our first time using our company, that's great. Let me add you to our system real quick. You click the red plus button, enter their information, and hit save. That will save them as a customer in your system. It'll create a customer profile page for them, and then it will continue on with creating the schedule or creating the appointment. But we'll go ahead and use Justin Hernandez, our customer we already have. So click on the schedule. We'll look for Justin. We'll select Justin. So now we're scheduling. We've got our customer info at the top. What's nice about this is you can see their balance. This will be the sum of all unpaid invoices in their system. And you can see their contact info. And if you need to update contact info, let's say you're talking to the customer and they say, hey, I actually changed my phone number. If you could go ahead and update that for me. You don't have to pop out and like go to their customer page. You can just click the edit button here. And now you can update their information right from here, just as you would from the customer page. I'm clicking back to appointment. Next, underneath that, we have job location. If they have just a single residence, then there'll just be one address here. Justin here owns some rental properties, so we can see the other addresses. What address you select here is what your technician will use to get GPS directions out to the location. Also, you can edit locations from here. So let's say you click on the edit button. You notice that one of these addresses is missing a zip code, or even if there's some type of error, you can just click into the address, make the adjustment, and hit save at the bottom. And that will update the address. Job, this is very important to keep your system organized. This is what is going to happen here is if we have new jobs selected and I hit schedule, it's going to create a new job and put this appointment in that new job. Let's say this is a callback though. If we're going back to a previous job, this is maybe our second visit that we're going out to install a new part that we had to order. Click the drop down and make sure that you select the previous job that relates to this callback appointment. That's how you keep things organized. Something you want to avoid is just selecting new job for everything. Even if it's a callback, it'll create a new job and it won't be related to the original job. So just make sure that you are selecting the correct job here. Job name, this says optional. I highly recommend you put a job name. When you're on the customer page, you'll be able to scroll through their timeline and it'll tell you the job number and then the job name. So if you don't put job names, you're just going to have to look inside of each job to figure out what it is instead of just naming it. So let's say for an HVAC company, you would do like a no AC call. And then you have job type, which we did mention earlier. This is a way to tag your jobs as what type of jobs they are. So let's say this no AC call, we're going to say this is a service call. And then 6 months from now, if I want to go into my reports and pull up all of my service calls, I'll be able to do that because I've been using job types. Now we're into the appointment creation. The appointment date, time, and technician are already pre-selected here, saving me some time because I clicked on that box on the dispatch board. And you can also you can also add additional technicians. So let's say that I'll be the primary technician, but I do need some help today. So we will invite Dustin on the job as well. And then it will create an appointment for both of us and put a appointment on the dispatch board in both places. Appointment tags, this kind of has two main uses. One is to simply tag this with an additional layer of tagging. Let's say you have a job, you know it's an install, and it's going to take several days to do that install. The first appointment you go out to maybe is like a phase 1. And then the second appointment would be like a phase 2. And the third would be a phase 3. And that's when we complete the job. For this first appointment, we would use our tags. And I could even create a new tag. Let's say that this is uh, visit 1. Now, I'll be able to see when I create my other appointments, I'll tag those as well, visit 2 and visit 3. And when I'm looking at the appointments, they'll all say that they're installs, but then each appointment can be individually tagged as something. So that's one way to do this. You can also use tags for simple reminders that maybe you get tired of typing every single time you make an appointment. So you maybe an idea of that would be bring the 12-foot ladder. You're going to need to get to a place high up. We're just going to add that tag. That way I don't have to type it. It's just already pre-selected. And my technician, when they look at the job in the field, they'll see that tag right away. These are internal appointment notes. And this is a space where you will just put what you want the technician to know so they can do the job correctly. Great place for gate codes. It reminders about pets. Maybe you want to put filter sizes. Whatever it is, add that here, and your technician will be able to see that out in the field. The last part of creating the appointment is who do we want to send a confirmation to? When I hit schedule, it's going to send a appointment confirmation message to whoever we select down below here. And right now I have text selected. I can select to send this as an email. And let's say I want to also add Justin's wife. I can come down here, add her. Maybe she prefers email, and then it will send out to both of them. And that message will just go out and say something like, your appointment with this company at this date and time is confirmed. All right, so I think we are good to go. We've got everything here. Scheduled, if this is turned on, that is the message that's going to go out to the customer for the confirmation of the appointment. You can set up a 1 week prior and 1 day prior reminder. An en route, if this is turned on, this will allow your technician in the field to send an on my way message when they're on the way to the job. If you don't want that, you can just turn that off here. We're ready to go. We got everything. We're going to hit schedule. That will then put this on the dispatch board. We can see it just showed up right here. And then let me just check my notes real quick. Make sure I didn't miss anything in there. All right, perfect. So we've officially put an appointment on the schedule. Now let's talk about the work queue. So the work queue has a couple good use cases for it. Maybe you have a customer who calls and you just want to document that eventually we're going to go out and do a service, but I'm not quite sure yet who's going to go, what time we're going to do it. We're super busy right now, but I want to remind myself that that's a job we need to do in the future. Now, the work queue will show you two different types of work queue items. You have service requests, which means it's a request for service. I'm not sure the date, the time, the technician. It's missing a lot of information, but we can at least get it documented. Unassigned, I know the date, I know the time. I'm just not sure which member of my team is going to go out and do the job. And all that's left to schedule these is to know who to give this to run it. So maybe for this job here, I want Katie to run that today at 2 p.m. I would just grab this, drag and drop, and now we can schedule. Everything here should be preset. You can make adjustments if you need to, and when you're ready, click save. Now, how do you create work queue items? You will do this the same way that you would create a normal appointment. Let's click New. Let's choose Bob. And so if you know the date, you know the time, you're just not sure which technician, we're going to make an unassigned appointment by clicking Assign Later right here. Get as detailed as you want with this. We know that we're going to go out today from 11 to 12. I'm going to add my tags, going to add my notes, and this is ready to go, except I don't know which technician. So we'll click Assign Later and hit Schedule. That has now added here. And then maybe I look at my schedule, I see who do I want to go out here, and then I just drag and drop. Looks like Bruce is doing maintenances today, so we'll have him run it and hit save. To create a service request, you'll do the same thing. Click New. Let's look for another customer. And then for this, we have another option. So instead of schedule now, you're going to create a service request. And again, service request is I just want to document this is a job we need to go do in the future, but I'm not really sure a lot of details. Let's say that I know this is going to take 2 hours. We can preset that, and you can add tags and notes and pre-select your appointment reminders beforehand. Then when we click save, that will also save in the work queue, but it will be under the service requests section. And here it is with Kayla. And then same thing, I know that we're going to go ahead and schedule this later today with Dustin. I just click and drag and let go, and it pre-populates the information and it's in there. So that is how to use the work queue. Last thing I'll show you with the work queue is you can use filters. If you're like really using the work queue, you have hundreds of items in here. The filters do come in handy. You can sort them by oldest to newest or newest to oldest, by job type. You can even just search for a customer. Appointment date, if you want to look at a specific day and see all for that day. And you can even select by coverage zone, but that is using the filters. If you want to edit one of these, you can just click the edit pencil right here, and that will keep it in the work queue while you edit and save. All right. Next, let's talk about appointment status and visuals. So earlier we created an appointment, and a typical scenario would be you have someone working in the office, they create an appointment, and then the technician out in the field will get that appointment on their mobile app, and then they can go in and run that job and complete it. But while that's happening out in the field, it's hard to know from the office, where are they? What is the progress on each job? And our visual indicators give you an idea of what that is. We can see here that for Dustin, this has been scheduled, but he has not started going to this job yet. When a technician is ready, they're sitting in the truck, they're ready to start driving out to the job, they will update the appointment status to on my way. And then we will see moving dotted lines. So if you see these moving dotted lines, that means that this technician is on the way to the job. When they get to the job, they'll update the status on the mobile app again to at job. And then those dotted lines will stop moving. So they will just be a dotted outline. And that represents this technician is at the job doing the work. When they are complete, they will finally update the status as complete. That means they have completed the appointment, and it will turn gray. You can still see an outline of color, and that represents the job type. So when you're in the office, you look at your board, I can see Caleb's on the way, Bruce is there doing the work, Mark's completed that one for the day, and Dustin has not started this yet. Maybe I want to reach out to Dustin, see where he's at, what's going on with this. Great way to just see overall progress of your jobs throughout the day. Okay, next, let's talk about callbacks and follow-ups a little more deeply. Now, when you are on a job, let's go into this install. If you hover over an appointment, it will show you a summary of the appointment. And if you want to go into that job to, make adjustments, you can go and click into the job. Now, just as a pro tip, throughout the entire system, if you click on the link, it will refresh the current page that you're on. Let's say I want to leave the schedule open, but I want to open the job in a new tab. I can just click this little arrow here, and that'll open it in a new tab. So our scenario now is my technician, myself, I go out, I'm ready to do the job, but I realize I don't have the part that I need. So I'm not going to be able to complete this job today, but I do want to flag the job and then put details in of what needs to happen and then do a follow-up. To do this from the job here, I'm on this job that we scheduled earlier. The technician in the field will use the mobile app and has a flag for follow-up button, but you'll click flag for follow-up. Choose a follow-up type. You can create your own follow-up types and get customized here, but let's say for this scenario, we'll choose part order because we need to order a part. You can assign users if you want and choose a due date. But the most important part here and the way that this connects back to scheduling is that I know I need to do something for this, and we're going to have to come back and do another appointment in the future. So we need, to order this part and save. That has now flagged this job. If we go back to the schedule page and refresh, we can see a flag. So any jobs that have a flag on them, you'll see a little flag in the corner, and that means there's some type of follow-up that needs to happen. So you can go into the job and you'll see the flag for follow-up in red here. And you can click on the flag to update it. But a pro tip, a way that you can do this is when you create the flag, you already know that you need to go back for a follow-up. So you could, right from here, create a service request. This would be a good example of using a service request. We need to order the part. I actually just ordered it, and we're going to have to go out there again. So let's click New under Appointments and Service Requests, New. And I'm not sure when the part is going to come in exactly. So that's why we're going to do a service request. We're not picking a date and a time yet. We're just getting this set so it'll remind me and be easier to schedule when it's time. So this will be just let's say that this is a service call. I know that when we go out there, it'll only take my technician about an hour. Maybe you want to tag this as part ordered, and then you can put details here. Part is coming in on Friday, whatever it is, and save. That will add the service request here. So you can see there's a service request that is waiting and ready to go. And you'll also see it on the schedule page here in the work queue. And we can even see there's the flag. This is the job that we're working on. And when the part comes in, well, here's something important to know too, because I do get questions about this. You have the job status and you have the appointment status. And those are obviously they work together, but those are different statuses. So for me, I went out, I wanted to finish the job, but I couldn't. I'm still going to mark the appointment as complete, even though the job is not complete. That just means that I went out, I did what I needed to do, and for this appointment, it is done. So when we go back out to do the second visit, I'll mark that appointment as complete as well. Invoice the customer, they pay the invoice, and then the job in total will be marked as closed. Just realize that, you will be completing appointments even if you didn't completely finish the job. Okay. So that is, we talked about flags and adding service requests for follow-ups. Next, let's update, cancel, or reschedule. So we're going to go back to the schedule page. And let's say that, you schedule an appointment and you need to make an update. You need to reschedule to a different time, or you want to just cancel it completely. To do this, you will click on the appointment. You can make any adjustments here that you want. If you want to reschedule to a different date and time, you just select that. Let's say that 12 doesn't work. Actually, we need to go there later in the day, so we're going to go between 3 and 4 instead. And then hit save. And now that has been moved to that time. So it's kind of a way you would reschedule. Clicking on this again, you can edit any other details that you want or need to. But down below here, we have cancel, unschedule. If I click on that, unschedule will take it off of the dispatch board and put it into the work queue. So we're just unscheduling it because we're going to reschedule it later. Cancel is we're never going to do this appointment. We need to just cancel it. And, if we need to go out in the future, we'll make a different one. But this will maintain a historical record that this has been created at one time, but it will no longer be on the dispatch board and it will no longer be in the work queue. It will just show on the job as something that had happened, but it was canceled. And delete is maybe you made this an error. You want to just completely erase it from your system. That is what delete is for. Any updates or changes that you make, you can select the send appointment cancellation confirmation, or if we go back, you make any updates here, you can choose send appointment update confirmation, and that's your way to communicate with the customer on the changes that you've made. Okay. And the last thing we're going to go over before we get into our Q&A is some calendar view options. You can make this look how you want. A couple things to point out here. We'll start on the left side. Calendar is showing you your calendar and your work queue. List will allow you to see all of your jobs in a list view. So this is great for someone who has a ton of appointments. Maybe you have 50 appointments going on at one time. Maybe you don't want to scroll and look at everything. You can just choose list to see these in a list view. Map will show you your map. It will be zoomed into your area. and you can see the appointments that are on the board and where they are. If you click on the appointment, it will give you a little summary of what that appointment is. And you can also from here see your technicians. So I can see the job and I can see the technician. So, if the job is here that they need to go to and you see they're way over here, you may want to give them a call and see what's going on. And then legend, that is going to just give you a reminder of what different icons mean in your system. Just a helpful tip. And then let's go back to the calendar view. And if you don't use the work queue or you just want to hide it, you can click hide. That gives you a little more real estate for your calendar here. And if you really want to get more real estate, you can click on the right side here, the full screen toggle, which will then take this and move it to the edges of your screen. So if you like this, you like seeing it nice and big, this is one of your options. Let's go ahead and put this back. We'll show the work queue again. And now we have a couple more options. Right now, this is in horizontal mode where I can see my technicians here in a list view. And from this view, you can actually reorder your technicians. So let's say that I actually want Katie at the top. I'll just click and drag and let go. And you can reorder them from this view. However, we can also click this button here, horizontal vertical, and it will change it to a vertical view. Some of my customers prefer this because it looks a little more like maybe your Google Calendar. This has the time going from top to bottom instead. Now, you can't change the order of your technicians in this view. So if you want, you would just go back to horizontal, make the adjustment, and then go back to vertical, and you'll see that represented. 30 and 60, it depends on how you like your scheduling to go, but if you choose 30, these little increments here that are selectable to schedule will be 30-minute increments, and if you do 60, they'll be 1 hour each. Then if you click this calendar, it will allow you to choose which date you want to see. Maybe I want to check something that we're going to do next Wednesday. If you want to go back to today, you click today. And then you can navigate one day at a time with the arrows. And then we have a daily view, which is what we're in now, which shows you one day at a time of the schedule. Weekly view will allow you to see your entire week at a glance. And then monthly view will show you the entire month. Let's go back to daily. And there you go. So those are some view options that you can use. Now on here, you see that the users have some selectable text here. If you click on your user right here, it will show you a map of where they are. Now they do need to have location services enabled on their device. So when they're, driving around doing jobs, it will be able to track them and you'll see where they're at in their day. And then it will show you their next appointment. The planned route is going to be it's going to show you what the GPS directions are. But when Dustin here starts actually driving, it will show dotted red line that represents where he actually went. So if the job is finished, you should be able to see the blue line and the red line. And, if he went and made a pit stop somewhere, you'll be able to see that easily. It will also show you your coverage zones here. Okay, so that is all the information that we have for today's session. I hope that you learned something. We are going to move to our Q&A now, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining. My name is Mark with WEX Field Service Management, and this has been Schedule and Dispatch Basics.